Excellent. So I'll go next and I'll try to be quick to leave most of our time to Ryan. So for the ones that I don't know in this meeting, my name is Morel Ortiz. I'm an assistant professor at Utah State University, and I joined Utah State in June of 2022. And as soon as I joined, one of the first places that I went to was actually Bear Lake. When I started my position, I was kind of ready to give up doing aquatics research because Utah is a desert for most part. And I think when I started here was very timely because I was able to address some of these problems and some questions and provide some help to everyone that's managing Erasure Water Milfoil. So my presentation is going to be pretty much just giving a big shout out to everyone in the Utah side, which are the managers that I am more in contact with, and the amazing work that they are doing. So I also won't cover this too much, but as John said, there's Eurasian water milfoil, northern water milfoil, and they can hybridize. And these hybrids, they are harder to tell apart from the native and Eurasian without any genetic testing. They are in general harder to control, but I'll let Ryan talk about that. To this date, we're not aware of any hybrids in the state of Utah, but there are several lakes where both species co-occur. So it's very important that we do management and monitoring to avoid the hybridization and just to extend the issue in the state of Utah. One very good news that I have is that until June of this year, we had no aquatic weeds listed in the Utah noxious weed list. We worked in pretty much 2023 and 2024 in starting listing those species. I sit in the Utah Weed State Committee Board, and we have now Eurasian water milfoil and paired feather, another weed in the same family as Eurasian water milfoil, listed as Class 1B early detection rapid response, which are species that are known to exist in small populations in the state. And we're currently also working to have hydrilla listed as a Class 1A, which is also EDRR, but our populations not known to exist in the state. So I was very happy to be part of this and have now aquatic weeds listed in the Utah noxious weed list. The spread of Eurasian water milfoil in the state of Utah is somewhat limited. We don't have a lot of lakes, but almost all the lakes that we have around the state, they have either Eurasian or northern water milfoil. So northern is pretty much everywhere. We currently have Eurasian water milfoil in 6 counties. For the purpose of this presentation, I'll focus in the northern Utah area and the Cache and Rich counties, which is Bear Lake is in the Rich County. I currently have a project funded by the Utah Department of Ag and Food where we are mapping most of these lakes in Utah. We're not doing a very true mapping as the Idaho State of Department of Ag and the Utah DNR are doing, but we're trying to identify every single invasive species that are present in the state, but it's not as comprehensive as what they're doing at Bear Lake. So I do want to give a big shout out to Jake Forsgren for his massive effort. He's the Cache County Weed Supervisor in treating Tony Grove. So Tony Grove is here in the Cache County. It's a beautiful lake, amazing for recreation. It's a high altitude lake. And guess what? We do have milfoil there. This is just a image from EdMaps from all of the locations that Jake found Eurasian water milfoil growing last year, which I believe was the first year that Eurasian water milfoil was detected in that lake. And here to the right, we have a picture of the mapping that the Utah Department of Ag and Monitoring has done at that lake to make sure that we have identified all of the milfoil, what's growing and where. So Jake and the UDEF, they're doing amazing work in that lake. It is a lake in Forest Service land. So if you are a manager, you know that spraying any herbicides in forest land area is extremely complicated. So this was a massive effort done by Jake, the Cache County as the Cache County weed supervisor. Kira Randall with the Forest Service was instrumental for us to be able to pull this together. UDEF was very helpful and with some information from USU. I believe in June or July, we were able to do this first drone application of Procellacor at Tony Grove. So this was just a huge effort that needs to be recognized, as now we come into aquatic species being listed. Doing these types of efforts, all of the agencies together, is instrumental and very important. And I feel Utah is doing an amazing job at putting everyone together to attack this issue all together. I do also want to recognize the importance of doing constant monitoring. This is a historical picture that I found last month in an old cabinet, tucked away. It was the picture lettuce lit that I took a picture of. And this is what seems to be based on the leaf counts native water milfoil in Tony Grove somewhere in the 90s. So I didn't have any dates on that picture. So just because you go there once, you see that there is a native water milfoil there. We just learned from John how these invasions can keep happening through boats and kayaks. Tony Grove is a huge recreational water body. And last year we identified the Eurasian water milfoil, although the native has been there for dozens of years. So keep monitoring lakes is very important because you never know when that new infestation is going to happen. And then I get into Bear Lake. We all know now how beautiful it is, how amazing it is, how important it is to northern Utah and southern Idaho, not only economically, but for the fauna, for the flora, for everything. Is really a lake that we want to protect and make sure that it stays healthy. Here are just some pictures from when I joined USU in 2022. As I said, my first month I went there, and then a more recent one in 2024. I had the chance to go out again with the Bear Lake Watch group. And the good news is, well, the bad news first is in 2022, I did genetic testing of Bear Lake milfoil, and we detected both Eurasian and northern water milfoil there. So there is a chance of hybridization happening in Bear Lake. No hybrids were detected yet. And luckily, to this day, we haven't seen a lot of flowering happening at Bear Lake. So the plants, you can see here how you can still see the sediment. They don't grow through the water column as often as usually milfoil does. So there are some areas, mainly in Idaho, where you see the plants stopping out that water column, but I personally haven't seen any flowering plants yet. In 2022, there was one marina on the Utah side that the plants were flowering. Everything there was Eurasian water milfoil. At the time, the marina was not connected to Bear Lake because it was a year where the water levels were very low, and we were able to control all the milfoil there. And it's the marina that Jesse mentioned that we treated with 2,4-D. So currently, no hybrids. Plants don't flower very often, and we have both native and invasive plants at Bear Lake. Here I have a map showing some sampling locations that we did on the Utah side. We collected 20 plus samples to do genetic testing. This was done with Jesse and Ray with the Utah Department of Natural Resources, and they were amazing, taking me to the lake anytime I needed. And I also need to acknowledge Emily Wright. She's also with the DNR, and they are very helpful to make sure we can keep looking at these plants and monitoring and controlling them. So I have tested about 10 of these samples, and in the Utah side, the majority of these areas, they were treated by Utah this year. And you can see that my mapping, it matches pretty much all Jess's high concentration of Eurasian water milfoil. So we went there, I believe it was 1 month after treating the plants, a month and a half, and we wanted to see what was still growing there. Was it Eurasian or was it native? And these are places that historically have had a combination, a mixed population of native and invasive. And the good news is all the ones that I sampled so far, they're all native. So we did not, and I think I started from the one on the eastern shore going south. So everything here was pretty much native. And so far, we did not detect any invasives yet in the treated areas. Last week, with the Bear Lake Watch, I collected 3 sampling points from the Idaho side. I have not run any tests on those yet, but based on the physiology of the plants, there was a marina with mixed stands, one big population with Eurasian only, and another big population with native only. So that's what I expect to see on the genotyping test, but that has not been done yet. And I just want to acknowledge the UDEF for funding a lot of my research with aquatic weeds, the Utah DNR, both the Wildlife Resources, Emily, and the Forest Fire and State Lands, Jesse and Ray. They're amazing. The Utah Weed Supervisor Association, they're instrumental telling me where the weeds are. They're in constant watching out for the lakes and what's growing where. Bear Lake Watch for providing support, letters of recommendation, everything I need from them. And of course, the Utah State Institute for Land, Water, and Air, because they were also one of the first ones that funded some of my research. So I could establish my lab here once I started and start doing some research. And I hope I was quick enough. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Here's my email. And I'll also going to stay here the whole symposium to answer any questions you guys may have later. But I'll let Ryan take it from here. Thank you.